welcome and join me on a little run, me giving just a basic introduction to my journey so far to running a London Marathon. This is Dan's running adventure. I've run at various times through my life, but usually as an addition to something else I'm doing, like there's Muay Thai, boxing, weight training, or cycling. And then 3 years ago or so, a neighbour wanted to get back in shape as well, and I was really out of shape. He said, do you fancy going for some runs early in the morning before work and the kids get up? I said yes, and that was the start of this current journey. So we started getting up 5 in the morning and doing these very slow and steady 4 or 5 Ks, start, stop, walk, jog, until eventually we climbed the heady heights of something like a 36-minute 5K. Get in there. I'm quite competitive with myself, so using Strava as a guide, I gradually built up till I could do 10K, and then we did enter a 10K, which was great fun. Really pushed myself and loved getting a little medal at the end. And that was it for a little while. Up and down, early runs, but turned out I'd really fallen in love with running, which surprised me somewhat because I wouldn't have said that any other time in my life. But there we go. Then one day he told me about the ballot for the London Marathon, which I knew nothing about because I always fancied doing it, don't we all, when we see it happen, having a go at that marathon. But I wasn't going to raise £2,500 for charity. I'm just rubbish at charity fundraising. But when I heard about the ballot, that changed things a little bit. So having been quite comfortable doing up to 10K and usually somewhat less, that lunchtime after finding about the ballot, I had my lunch at work and I looked it up and I entered the ballot for London Marathon. In case you don't know, over 500,000 people apply and it's somewhere in the region of 40,000 get a ballot place. I promptly forgot that I entered until a couple of months later picked up an email at work saying I was in the London Marathon. I reread it a few times because this all seemed a bit odd, and it did appear, to all intents and purposes, I got a place in the London Marathon. So that night, got home from work, having a cup of tea, said to my wife, oh, you know, I do things sometimes without thinking. I'm in the London Marathon. Explained. She looked at me and said, when are you going to train for that? Because, you know, we got kids at work and a life which uses up a shed load of time. So I said, I have no idea. I'll just get up earlier, which I promptly did. And the short version is I trained quite a lot and I trained quite hard and I ended up quite injured the January before the London Marathon in 2024. I'd run with a niggle. I'd done a long run with a niggle and I pushed myself and damaged something around my psoas, a glute and my lower back. The physio was very impressed, and after a few weeks not running at all and then a few more weeks not running at all, I had to bite the bullet and defer, which I was pretty grumpy and depressed about. But I tried to be philosophical, and after a period of grieving I got myself up and together, trying to get sorted 2025. So after illness and injury and building a really solid base through the rest of 2024, I started my training proper in January, plumping in the end for the Garmin adaptive plan, as I figured it would adapt depending on how I was doing and what I was doing. So, and it has been an up and down journey these last few months, but I've covered over 500 kilometers in the first 3 months of 2025, and with 3 months to go until the London Marathon, I'm feeling comfortable, confident, lightly nervous, but just more about the overall day than anything else. I've ticked off some of the longest runs I've done ever. I've done an official half marathon for the first time, the Weymouth half, which was absolutely fantastic, and I'm feeling good. Fittest, might not sound it now, fittest I've been for running in my whole life, which is absolutely fantastic. So in conclusion, what I've learned over the last couple of years running is that I am capable of so much more than I thought I was, with a purpose and a plan. Also, running is an incredible assistance to my mental health and well-being. That's a whole nother post, but I'm sure some of you are aware of the benefits around that. And thirdly, the running community is absolutely awesome. One of the most supportive and positive places I've had the pleasure of hanging around online. And maybe down in the comments, just let me know what you've learned from running. And if you don't mind subscribing, that'd be awesome. So I'll see you again next time on Dan's Running Adventure.